Morning.
Space cats. Um, we'll see if the harmonic came through because last time we did a little Peruvian flute thing and it was totally muted for that portion. So, welcome to morning space chats. We're recording in the evening. We're recording this on September 19th, and it will be coming out on the 22nd. So we're just about to be in the equinox. There's a solar eclipse on the same day as the equinox, and then it's the Jewish New Year on Monday. So a lot of turnover energy.
Yeah.
I had something, just a piece of news. So there are things that happen. Oh, and I'm Zadikat Sun Portal, aka Canadian K. With me is my wonderful co-host.
Dread Pirate KK.
Yay!
Hello.
I'll get to that in a second, but I'll just finish my story and not go off on a tangent. Okay, so things tend to happen in this neighborhood that are very much a part of like the lucid dream. And so they always have a lot of symbolism. Like in 2024, just a few blocks away, they discovered an indigenous burial site that had like remains that were like 13,000 years old. So that was like a lot of like energy
Whoa.
in the space coming online, coming up, like being uncovered. And um, yeah, and so that was just an example from last year. And I think it's still like it's like a cordoned off area while they work with it to preserve the remains and stuff. Um, but I just got a neighborhood newsletter, and it was like the headline was "Miracle in Monarch Park." So there's this park named after the butterfly. So there's that symbolism, and the miracle was a plane, because we have a downtown airport in Toronto. Um, so there's a lot of plane activity. A plane, a very small plane, crashed into the park, and everyone survived, including the pilot and the passenger. I think it was like a tiny propeller plane or something, but it crashed in the exact perfect spot to miss a soccer field full of children, a dog park, and this train tracks for the GO train, which is like going all the time. Like there's trains always, always, always going.
Wow.
Yeah. So that energy was coming online, and was actually, I put it in our Dragon Tree group chat, and Pearl pointed out the phrase like it landed in the perfect spot, and you had actually just written something in the chat earlier today or yesterday about everything falling into place perfectly, like
Oh.
anyway, but wild. And
Wow. Wow. Miracles in Monarch Park. That is pretty incredible, actually.
mm-hmm.
I'm finding a lot of that stuff too with the earthquakes that have been happening. Like Earth is, releasing her own energy, trauma, whatever, healing herself. And these earthquakes are going off, especially in I think it's Kamchatka. I think that's how you say it, Russia. But it's always like there was an 8.8 earthquake back in like August or July or something like that. And the aftershocks have all been like 7.4, 7.8, like that kind of thing. And it's always no casualties, and then the antipode to that is like somewhere in South America, I think, or down at the bottom. I think somewhere the antipode is just like the opposite part of the globe, and they're usually earthquakes are kind of tied to the antipodes or whatever. And so there've been some pretty big ones down there too, also with no casualties. Like all these big earthquakes are coming online and just kind of like not taking out, you know, humanity along with it. So it feels like Interesting.
That reminds me of two things. One is a download that I got years ago that I think we did talk about on the podcast, which was about the dinosaurs, like energy of the dinosaurs coming back. And I saw them stomping, like they were huge and they were stomping, and it was going to feel like earthquakes. And that
Mm.
feels very
Mm.
that, like earthquakes that aren't harming people, feels.
Interesting.
Also, I have been, so I had these dreams about, I had a couple of dreams about like being able to understand, like there was a dream where I was talking to a dog and the dog was just talking back to me in like English, you know. And then I had a dream about a swarm of bees um making sounds that sounded like English or human speech, and it was like the first time it had ever been recorded or whatever. um and so I've been working on my animal communication, and it's really a trust fall because um it's kind of like when I started out with like intuitive stuff and like mediumship, where you're just like going in and you're like picking up stuff, and you just feel so like exposed and stuff. You're talking to somebody and you're like, I'm getting this, and it's like, is it going to have any relevance at all? Like, and it's really hard to not go into your mental space and start projecting words, and you just really have to like receive. But with the animal stuff, it's even harder because you can't confirm it with them. So what they've been doing is sending me weird things that then I Google and it turns out to be a real thing, so that I know that they're like sending me like I'm hearing legit stuff from them, you know?
Cool.
So it's like, yeah, it'll be like disjointed phrases and stuff, but then I'll go put it in and it's like, oh. And I can't, what animal was it? I can't remember the animal now. There was a cricket, there was a spider, there was cicadas, and there was a bird, and it was the bird um was fault lines are cascading. And I know what fault lines are, and cascading made me think of Cascadia, which I know is like, it's like that West Coast thing that's like everybody talks about, like the big one, like where the West Coast will like sink into the ocean or whatever. But when I looked it up, cascading fault lines is actually a term, and it can refer to a few different things. Um, one of them being Cascadia, but there's another thing which has to do with like engineering and power grids and like blackouts and stuff, or like it's like the domino effect when a bunch of things fall after like an initial fault in one thing. Um, and they also mentioned Serbia and Australia and Cascadia, and then they said triangulation, and I don't quite know that part. I don't quite know. Um,
Wait, and these were messages from the birds or the animals, I mean, or
up which animal it was. Animal communication. Cardinals.
hmm.
So that the second part I don't know. Like I went and looked that up, and I was like, okay, it does form like a triangle. But uh then yesterday with the cicada, it was a female, you know, the female cicadas make that like bicycle wheel sound.
I love it.
um and they said freedoms, Afghanistan, augur, August, other meaning, and knitting needles, and then it was like as a form of secret communication. So I looked up, first of all, there's a very big date in August when the Taliban like took control, like overthrew the government. So that was an interesting thing. Then an augur, I found out, is a ancient Roman religious official who interprets omens to foretell things. And then August is an ancient Roman Latin word meaning to increase or augment. So I felt like augmenting freedoms. And then I went up and started looking up knitting needles and knitting. No, I didn't get anything with the needles, but I got knitting in Afghanistan. And I eventually found these secret women's knitting circles. So they would have these meetings to because it was like, okay, you can gather to like sew and knit, and then like they would be transmitting other messages during those meetings and stuff. So it was like their way. So anyway,
Cool.
was pointing to that. So that was interesting to hear about.
Yeah.
And then I also just was like researching what's going on with Afghanistan now and women, and they're like continuing to like find ways to
go around.
Anyway, I was like, oh, okay, it was like a secret communication thing that they use with knitting. So
that's awesome. When you said auger, I was immediately thinking of the farm tool implement. It's like a big thing that can dig. It like digs holes for fence posts and stuff, or like if you're planting trees and stuff.
oh,
I forgot it also meant somebody who interpreted omens, though. That's pretty cool.
I think yours is interesting as well. But yeah, the earthquake stuff.
I forgot about the dinosaur shaking or stomping and shaking. And Pearl was just talking about the T-Rex in her dream. Yeah, I feel like dinosaurs are kind of. And I just heard. Have you ever come across on TikTok the girl that or the woman, I don't know, whatever, who uses dowsing rods to answer questions, to channel questions, and she'll get yes or no answers from usually it's usually Archangel Michael, I think, but she gets different. Anyway, she was being interviewed by JK Ultra, who is somebody I follow also, and one of the questions they were asking the augurs was, was there a human civilization around during the time of the dinosaurs? And the answer was yes. And I was like, oh, I didn't, because apparently there are some, and I didn't know this, there are apparently some bones or like remains of bones or whatever, maybe not dinosaur bones, but they're like human teeth marks on these bones. And I have literally never heard that in my life. I was like, really? So that was kind of interesting information. And I'm wondering if it's kind of like the inner earth beings, like Yeti, Sasquatch, because I feel like they've been around forever. I don't know, maybe not since the dinosaurs, but like, I don't know. I was just like, it was something to chew on anyway. I'm fascinated by that.
Oh, that's interesting. The inner earth beings. Oh, and that makes me think of, so I've been writing, I put out Mara and the Bad Wolf. That's the first in the trilogy that I didn't know was a trilogy until the first one was published. And the second one is called Mara and the Gingerbread House. And the third one is called Mara and the Magic Beans. And that one's about lucid dreaming, but it features Bigfoots heavily.
Oh.
The guardians of this place in the dream world, this kind of planet in the dream world. And one of the things that they end up transmitting as information in the book is that because you know how in Jack and the Beanstalk, it's like the giant is like brr, brr, brr. So anyway, there's this whole thing where the Mara and Mara's friend in this book are like in the dream world going to this, they climb the beanstalk to this like floating island in the sky, and they're tiny there, and they explore, and they're trying to like, they're finding like treasures and stuff, but then they hear these like giant like brr, 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 and it's very scary, and it can, you know, it conveys that thing from the original fairy tale. But then you find out that it's the Bigfoots at the end, and they're patrolling the planet, not for creatures who come there to visit, like Mara and Mara's friends, but they do these patrols for chaos energy to prevent it from just coming in and like going haywire everywhere. And what they do is they stomp their feet and bang drums and roar, and clap their big paws together, and that like deflects. So it's like just like this like swirling random pockets of chaos energy will be like maybe magnetized towards their field, and then it'll just deflect with that. And so I've been doing that in my apartment as a way to deflect chaos energy, which is present at the moment. So that's my hot tip. Is, and doing it in a counterclockwise 360 circle, because counterclockwise is to clear things out, and clockwise is to bring things in, to magnetize versus to repel, or to attract versus to repel. So yeah, you can just like clap your hands, stomp your feet, growl, shout, roar, make yourself big in a counterclockwise circle. Drum if you have a drum, or just like bang a rhythm. And you can open a window if you want to like clear it out, but like whenever you feel, whenever your intuition tells you like, hey, I might need to deflect some chaos energy.
That's so funny. There's two things that popped. So, right before I got on this recording, I threw a huge tantrum. Anyway, something happened, and I was just like, "What?" And I've just been spending a lot of time screaming outrage, like when I'm in my emotional lows and like all this stuff, and I keep getting triggered to scream about stuff, and I'm so frustrated with it. I'm like, "What do you guys? Why do I keep needing to scream about this? I'm so sick of it." And now I'm thinking that they're probably getting me to take up space like a Tyrannosaurus Rex and keep away some of this chaos energy. So now I'm a little bit calmer now, because I'm like, I was so mad about like, why do I keep getting I'm like, oh, okay, okay, maybe I'll just keep screaming. But the second thing is, I was listening to Jordan Crowder. I don't know if you know him either. He's a lot on TikTok. He has a podcast on YouTube. Anyway, he talks about all the spiritual awakening type stuff, and he talks about his time at the Monroe Institute, because he went there, I don't know when, a few years ago or recently, something. Anyway, and how they learned at the Monroe Institute that Bigfoot, or like Sasquatch Yeti figures, are guardians of portals. And so wherever there's a lot of energy, like the Monroe Institute, or anywhere there's like big energy portals, there will be Sasquatch and Yeti, because I don't know if they're the same thing. Sorry, I feel like I don't know anything about these, but like they're there because they're guardians of portals, and you're literally writing about that in your book, and that's really cool how it's the same.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Mm.
Okay, the thing, oh no, but that reminded me of another. This is like a very ping pong, because when I'm talking about the counterclockwise and the clockwise, when I was doing energy work sessions, it would often show me people who had a lot of centrifugal force, or it would often show me like centrifugal force working versus centripetal, which is the same thing, like clockwise, counterclockwise.
Oh, I never knew that.
I mean, I don't think it's Wait, let me look this up. I don't want to.
That's I was like, I've heard centripetal and centrifugal or whatever, and I'm like, are those, why are people, is it, anyway, I didn't have any idea that it could be something different.
Okay, no, I'm getting it wrong. Centrifugal is moving away from a center, and counterclockwise moves things centrifugally away.
Okay.
Centripetal moves towards the center, and clockwise is what you do to move things to it.
Okay.
Sorry, so I didn't say that right.
That's okay. I didn't realize. I kept hearing the words and thinking people were saying the same thing, but in different ways. And I was like very confused. I'm not a science person at all. So,
Um, yes. So that was, anyway, but the centripetal and the centrifugal are actually kind of irrelevant now, I realize. But interesting to note. But well, I guess it goes back to the why I knew that you needed to, because I learned that when I was in those sessions. I looked up centrifugal and centripetal, and it's like, oh, okay. And that's when I got the download to do it counterclockwise or clockwise. But what it reminded me of is this news story about, because of the, is it the James Webb, the
Webb
telescope?
telescope.
Yeah, what they're able to now see with it, they've seen something that's where they're asking the question, or they're like, the simplest possible answer to why this would be happening is X. And what they're seeing is that, so if we were in the type of universe that has previously been discussed, where it's like constantly expanding outward, apparently you would be seeing 50% of galaxies moving clockwise and 50% moving counterclockwise. But what they're actually seeing is 75 versus 25.
Hmm.
And that apparently what that means, or the simplest explanation for why that would be, is that we are actually in, our universe is inside a black hole, and we're a pocket universe inside a bigger universe.
Whoa.
Which, yeah, really, so the term pocket universe is happening.
Whoa.
Fun.
That is blowing my mind. So cool.
And I had, for me, black holes, my understanding metaphysically, metaphorically, is that they're just like ways to travel between realities and universes and stuff anyway. And I had a dream sometime during the portal between July 7th and August 8th, the Lionsgate lead up, of, I was standing on a flat, could have been a ship, could have been a planet, but it was like flat, kind of shaped like a country, with a large collective of people in outer space, and we were going into a black hole, and then we were in it, and I was like, oh, we're in it now. So it's just interesting that this news story came out since then.
Cool.
And I just want to check, now that I said that, what the percentages are. Hold on. Will I be able to see? I don't know, but it'd be interesting, like, in terms of knowing pulling in versus pushing away, what the percentage actually is. I'll look that up and report back.
Okay.
Possibly put it in the show notes.
That's so cool. A pocket universe.
A pocket verse.
So
It
cute.
sounds cute.
I was literally was like, it's so cute. Oh my God. Yeah.
Kind of. Anyway, it's just interesting.
I wonder if that relates to the physicists who won the Nobel Prize, I think in like, was it 2022? Or it was pretty recent for discovering that this universe is not locally real, which I think was interpreted as like it is a hologram or holographic or something like that. Like I said, I am not a science person. I don't know, but that was my understanding was like because it said it was not locally real, it is a hologram or something. And I wonder if that's like the pocket universe related to that somehow. I don't know.
That is, yeah, I wonder too. Um,
It also reminds me, I'm so I keep, but all these things popping. One of the episodes of Star Trek Next Generation, there's a storyline where there's the hollow suites or whatever where you go in and you can act out if you want to just play around with stuff. And Jean-Luc Picard liked to do Sherlock Holmes type stuff. And one of the episodes was Moriarty started to realize he woke up in the hologram basically or in the hollow suite and he was like, is this not real? What and so he was so smart that he was so he evolved really quickly. And so what they did, and he was like wanting to come out into the real world, and they were like, there's always some sort of like, what do you do with this incredibly ethical or ethic not problem, but like morally, what do you do with this like hologram who wants to come out into the anyway? So what they did was they built a device or whatever that like, and so they went into the hollow suite and pretended like they were letting him free and they gave him a spaceship and he was able to go off into the thing, but in reality what it was a device that was like another hologram or whatever. So he was like real in his hologram, and it was like this a device that was like this big, but just like processing power was so large. And I just was sitting there like, oh my gosh, that feels like real life right now. Like it feels like that's what's happening here. So, and that was I watched that episode I think back in like 2020, so I was kind of sort of waking up to some of these things, and I was just like, what? So I kind of want to watch that episode again because they
yeah,
explained it a little better. But anyway, that was Pocket Universe made me think of that.
yeah, yeah. Um, oh, before this was the thing I wanted to show at the top. Merch now. So I showed this last time. It's not exactly like this tote. But we have Space Cats merch. We have a tote that doesn't have green straps and the straps are longer. It's like all, the neutral tote color with our Space Cats. Sorry, I'm getting the 10-minute time left. Do we want to extend or do we want to keep it short?
I don't know. Maybe a few minutes.
Maybe keep it short.
Okay, but short. That sounds
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. We have merch. Oh my God.
It has our Space Cats logo, Space Cats Happy Hour. And then we also, there's also, I put it on some stickers and mugs and stuff. It's through Redbubble. So the links are I already put it out with the last episode, but just look in the show notes and you'll find the links if you want a Space Cats Happy Hour tote. But I also did a Lazy Witch one as well. So if you want, so the Lazy Witch, so if you're listening and not able to see, the Lazy Witch tote is based on a collage oracle card that I made, and it's got it's like a black and white illustration of a very cool crony witch whose hair is like flying all over the place, playing some kind of lute or something, and her tongue sticking out. And there's like the background was like a nature landscape, but it's in this beautiful pink and purple that I really love. And it says Lazy Witch on it. Anyway, so I find it very attractive and fun.
That's so cool.
If you want some merch, you can go follow those links and check it out.
Yeah.
Perfect for fall.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sweaty.
Man, I've been sweaty all day. Oh my God.
Really hot here today. Oh, right. I have so many things to talk about, but yeah, we'll keep it cute. We'll keep it nice and short, this one. I also, similar to the animal communication, I was doing something connected to Alzheimer's. Anyway, I got a download about like new developments and treatments or some kind of like thing that's going to be really big to do with mast cells. And I was like, I've heard of mast cells before. I don't know what they are, but then I looked it up and it turns out that they do contribute to Alzheimer's. So I was like, okay. So they seem to be a key though. I don't know. Sometimes like, you know, the poison is the cure kind of thing. I don't know what, but that'll be interesting to like stay tuned and see what happens around
Interesting.
Alzheimer's and stuff.
It's interesting coming out during the year of the snake with like the poison, and I keep getting downloads about the poison and the cure, or cure and the poison, whatever. I'm like, this yeah. Interesting download, interesting timing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And oh, you want to pipe in on that? I'm just like, things keep coming to me, but
We can always record again, you know.
no, it's fine. I just didn't want to be like monopoly.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
The thing I was doing, I can't remember which episode it was, but I did like an on-air demonstration of this thing where it's like the energy is moving my arms up, just like when you put your arms in a doorway for 30 seconds, you hold them tight and then it feels like they're going up on their own. But this was just like, I can just do it anytime. And so it was moving them everywhere. And since then, it's also been moving my other parts of my body. And I wasn't really, I mean, I knew it was about like following, like surrendering and just allowing things to be moved and stuff. But what I realized, because I did it after I'd done the demonstration on air, and it just was like making them go up and down. And I was like, oh, it's showing me that I'm flying.
Whoa.
And I think it also has to do with like experimenting around like kind of semi-levitation, because it's like a very trippy feeling. But it was what I've been seeing lately in terms of people shifting from karmic to post-karmic existence, which isn't actually like a complete like 180 or like 100 to 0. It's like a gradual shift down. But what I see now is people hanging from a cliff. So a lot of times what I used to see, you know, this is a lot of stuff, but lots of people talk about this with spirituality. It's like doing the trust fall, where you like fall and off, you step off the cliff, and then the path is just going to come up beneath you, or you fall and you're caught. You know, I would often see it in my own visualizations and meditations. It's allowing myself to fall and then being caught. But this time it was hanging off a cliff, and then when they finally fell, they were actually whooshed up into the air. So it wasn't, they had the feeling that they were going to have to fall and like go through the terror of falling and expect to be caught, but it was actually going up and like levitate, like flying, but without using, you know, just without flapping your wings or your arms or anything. And it reminded me of my friend wanted to do this thing. They have it everywhere where it's like supposed to recreate skydiving, but it actually, you go into like a tube and there's like air that pushes you upwards. And so I thought it was going to be something scary where you had to like fall into air and then get caught by it. But then when I found out you just stepped and it whooshed you up, I was like, oh, that's not scary at all. So that's what they were like showing me about people holding on to karmic existence, thinking that they're going to have to do a big fall and it's going to be terrifying. It's like, actually, no, it's just whooshing up into the air like you're carried the whole way. There's no like
That's nice. I like that download. I'll take
yeah.
that.
Um
I'll take
yeah.
that.
This has felt like a tidbits and morsels little
Yeah.
um astrophysicsy episode. Also, my downstairs neighbor, who's a film director, which always felt very significant, symbolic to me. He has moved out for 2 years, and his niece has moved in, and she's an astrophysics student. So now, instead of a film director underneath me, there's an astrophysics student.
Interesting.
Mm.
I like that energy. I'll take some of that. Learn some things.
So we haven't talked much about the equinox or anything, but
We can do that next time.
yeah, next time. I think before we get abruptly cut off, we can leave it there. This will be a nice little quickie.
Yeah.
And you can always reach out us at spacecatshappyhour@gmail for any email questions, comments. This I've been forgetting to mention, but please give us a rating on whatever, I mean, a high rating, a nice rating, whatever you're, or give us a like or subscribe or those types of things that helps us get more people. And yeah, see you guys on the other side again. We'll be saying hello from the other side again.
Yeah. So many other sides right now. A lot of traveling through those portals.
All right. So long, space kitties.
See ya
Talk soon.
next time.